Hello and welcome back to the series of Machine Learning with Python. I am Shruti and I am your instructor for this course. In previous sessions, we learned about machine learning introduction, classification and regression with example, linear regression, simple linear regression, multiple linear regression with example as well as with implementation. So in this session, I am going to cover what is decision tree, why decision tree, types of decision tree, steps to implement decision tree regression, classification, confusion matrix, random forest, KNN algorithm, everything with example as well as implementation. So let's begin. So decision tree basically is a supervised learning technique. So this can be used for both as classification as well as for your regression. So here we will discuss both decision tree classification as well as regression. So decision tree is a tree-like structure. Here internal node represents the feature of dataset and branches represents the decision rules and this leaf nodes represents the outcome. So in decision tree, there are two nodes, that is decision node and this leaf node. So let's discuss the terminologies related to this decision tree. So there is a root node. So root node is from where the decision tree begins. So it represents the entire dataset which further gets divided into two or more heterogeneous sets. So you can call it as the subtree. Here you can see the leaf node is there. So leaf node are the final output node and the tree cannot be segregated further after getting this leaf node. Okay, so here you can see this tree cannot be further getting segregated. Then splitting. So here you can see this tree is splitted here, either in case of your subtrees or in case of your leaf node. So splitting is the process of dividing this node or root node into the subnode. Okay, then we have a branch or subtree. A subtree, that is a tree formed by the splitting tree. That is, this one is the tree which is formed, or say subtree, which is formed after splitting this tree. Then we have pruning. Pruning, that means it is the process of removing the unwanted branches from the tree. We will discuss pruning later. Then we have a parent or child node. So this is the parent node and these are the child nodes. Again, this decision node is the parent node for this child node of leaf node. So the root node of the decision tree is called your parent node and the other nodes are called your child nodes. This is how the decision tree is. So why we are using this decision tree? So basically, decision tree usually a mimic of human brain. So that is human like thinking ability while making any kind of decision. So it is really very easy to understand. Then the logic behind the decision tree can be easily understand because it is having a tree like structure. That's why we are using a decision tree. So let's quickly go towards the types of decision tree variables. So there are decision tree is based on the types of target variable we have. Here it can be of two types, that is categorical variable decision tree and continuous variable decision tree. So in case of categorical variable decision tree, it has a categorical target variable. So example of this is yes, no, binary classification you may say. Yes, no, 0, 1, true, false, like this. And in case of your continuous variable tree, that is a decision tree has a continuous target variable. So in that case or in that scenario, the tree is called continuous variable decision tree. The categorical variable you can easily understand by this name, that is it comes under decision tree classification, and this continuous variable decision tree, That means it comes under decision tree regression. So let's quickly move towards the steps of implementation. Here the steps will also remain the same as in case of your linear regression. So like this, data pre-processing step, then fitting of decision tree algorithm to the training set, predicting the class result, test accuracy of the result, creation of your confusion matrix. We'll again discuss what exactly the confusion matrix is. Then visualizing the training set as well as your testing set. So let's quickly begin with the decision tree regression. So decision tree regression. So this regression is totally based on the decision tree structure. A decision tree is, as we already discussed, it is the form of your tree or say your hierarchical structures that breaks down your data set into the smaller and smaller subsets. So at the same time, an associated decision tree is incrementally developed. So the tree that contains the decision node and lift nodes. So here you can see the decision nodes. For example, here in case this outlook. Okay, so this is your outlook is your decision nodes, and those are represented the value of your input variable. Suppose say x, then it has more than two branches. Like sunny is here, then overcast, then rainy, then lift nodes, that is again here your hours, suppose let's say hours of played, then that contains the decision or the output variable, for example y. Okay, so here you can see the hours played. This is your target variable. So the decision node that corresponds to the best predictors becomes the topmost node. So here the topmost node is your outlook, that is your root node. So let's begin with the decision tree. So let's consider here the scatter plot of your certain data set. For example, XYZ data set is there. So we take the data set that contains the independent variable x1, this x1, x2, and we are predicting the third variable, that is your y. You cannot find it on the scatter plot. It has only two dimension, that is x1 and x2 here. So to visualize y, we need to add the third dimension after it. It would be like this. Okay, so now how does this decision tree works for the regression? Well, for this our decision tree makes some splits on the data set, like here split 1, split 2, split 3 and split 4. So this is based on the information entropy. We'll again discuss what exactly the information entropy, but information entropy tells how much information there is in the event. So this is basically dividing the points into some groups. The algorithm decides the optimal number of splits and this splits the data set accordingly. So this makes you clear, because here you can see the splits. Okay, here you can see the decision tree made 4 groups and divide the data points into that 5 groups, like this: split 1, split 2, split 3, split 4. Here it makes a 4 groups and dividing the points into the 5 groups. Now this algorithm will take the average of each group, and based on that it will build a decision tree for the data set. So decision tree would be look like this. Okay, so the decision tree here shows that whether the value of y falls in one of the leaf. Okay, it will return the value of the leaf as the prediction for the value for that y value, like this. Okay, then we'll implement this in case of your Python. So we will implement this decision tree regression in your Python. We will look on the data set called your position salaries.csv, which contains the salary of the employee according to their position. Our task is to predict the salary of an employee to an unknown level. So here the question is predict the salary of an employee according to an unknown level. So we will make a regression model using a decision tree for this task. So let's begin, and we are expecting an output like this, the graph. So let's begin. So here you can see first we are importing the essential libraries like this. So the importing the which is the first step. Then after importing, we'll import our data set called position salaries. Okay, and after executing this code, the data set will be imported to our program. So the data set of position salary will be looks like that. So it contains the position, level, and salary. Now we need to determine the dependent and independent variable. So here we can see this level is an independent variable, while the salary is your dependent variable, or say your target variable. And we want to find out the salary of an employee according to his level. So our feature matrix X, this X, will contain the label column. This column is in the case of this X. And the value of the salary is taken into the dependent variable. So we are considering the vector y. Okay, now we use a decision tree regressor. So let's first execute this. Now we need a decision tree regressor class. We will import this class from the scikit-learn library. Okay, so like this, and we'll make an object called this regressor of this class, that is decision tree regressor. So here we set the random state equals to 0, and then we will fit the object of the data set to make our model like this. Okay, so we'll execute this and we will get this output. Now, well, our model is ready. Let's take our model to know how it predicts an unknown value. So here we predict the result of your 6.5 level salary. So this is your unknown value. So we'll predict the result of 6.5 salary. So after executing the code, we'll get this. Let's suppose y underscore pred. So here you can see after executing the code, we get an output of $150 K. Okay, so to learn how closely our model predicted the value, so we'll visualize our training set like this. So for the training set, we'll give this regressor dot predict xgrid and setting the color as blue. And for the title, we will give the title as decision tree regression, and for the X label, we'll give a position salary, and for the Y label, we are giving a salary. So after executing this, we'll get the graph like this. So we can see a graph where the plotting a prediction of 10K salary corresponds to the 10 level. So this is your 10K salary which corresponds to the 10 level. So it is a non-linear and non-continuous regression model. So this graph does not look like the other linear regression model because the decision tree regression takes the average value of each group and assign this value to the variable that falls in that group. So the graph is not continuous, rather than it looks like the staircase. So from the graph, we can see the prediction for the 6.5 level is pretty close to the actual value, that is around your $160K. So we can say it is a good regression model.
So these are the concepts of machine learning with Python. I hope you are enjoying the videos. Please keep learning, enjoy learning, and please do not forget to press the like button, share with your friends, and subscribe the channel. Thank you.